Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Honey, We're Home. I'm Nicole Pellegrino.
And I am Caroline Crawford Patterson.
And I think before we get into this episode, we need to do a quick, I'm giving us 2 minutes, a little health debrief.
Yeah, okay.
We just sat here bitching for 10 minutes about the ailments that are going on in our bodies.
Yeah.
Why don't you go first?
Apparently I'm a white witch. So that's great.
Caroline has magical powers.
I got my period for the first time in like 6 months after the solar eclipse. I've never been more unwell in my life. I always get migraines from my endo. I've had a 72-hour migraine this week. Everything about my body hates me. I was doing Pilates last Friday and we were inverted and I started throwing up in my mouth. Like nothing's going well for me body-wise right now. I'm slipping in and out of like sleep consciousness, but like wicked dreams. Like I'm not having a good time.
No. Mercury is in retrograde for you. The eclipse ruined everything here. I mean, kind of same. Not as bad. The sleep has been awful for me.
I have a question.
What?
Did you see how they're like, you could... Oh my God, you guys are going to think I'm crazy. Did you guys see any of the videos that were like, you could kind of go into an alternate universe, like an alternate dimension, like a kind of like quantum jump during this solar eclipse?
No, I saw a lot of like manifestation related things, but not that.
Okay, so I saw something that said, don't manifest during the solar eclipse.
Yeah.
Like, don't change. Okay.
And I, of course, started manifesting during
Oh
the
God.
solar eclipse.
No, I was like, I'm listening to that. But what I also saw was like, this could be a huge shift for people and you have an opportunity to basically like quantum jump. I don't necessarily believe in that, but this is stuck in my head and I'm like, do I feel so strange and bizarre because something is happening to my body? I was laying in bed the other night and like my breathing got really weird and like my body started to feel weird and I just started praying. You guys are actually gonna think I'm
praying.
I started praying that I was like, if I quantum jump, can you just make sure John comes with me?
I'm picturing you literally like your body just like propelling through a black hole into another dimension.
I was like, what does this mean? Like, do I have to leave John behind? Like, I was like, wherever I go, just make sure he's with me. Like, I was like, God, I'd rather stay right here.
What is a quantum leap?
Obviously, I don't know. Otherwise, I wouldn't be frantically praying that like I would go into a different reality where like I was not with
your husband.
My husband.
I have seen a lot about like this time is supposed to be like you might be experiencing like huge change because of the way the stars and the sun and the moon are aligned and whatnot, and that might be what you're feeling. I feel like if you're going through all these health ailments and like weird bodily things, it's only that's like you're like almost like rock bottomy. I don't know. Just no, you could go more.
No, I feel terrible. Yeah,
but you could go more. There's always bottom.
There's always lower.
But I feel like once you're doing that, like it's only up from here. You know.
That's what I've been seeing too. Not that I should believe everything that I see or watch, but I have seen that.
Yeah, but I also did I mention to you I think I'm also a witch because every time I see a TikTok video about getting your period around a certain time, I'm on it.
Well, we're
the
same dates now.
Yeah, maybe we're just in that algorithm. Well,
maybe that's why we have a podcast together because we're both witches.
Literally.
That's so fun.
My quick ailments, I'm just tired, so we're going to really try to gaslight myself into feeling very awake because Mike physically drugged me with caffeine yesterday, injected my veins with caffeine so that I could focus for 3 seconds and do admin work, taxes, like just like life, get my finances in order and all those things. And I feel really good about the fact that I did that. So now I'm finally organized. The loop is closed, but that made me not fall asleep until like 1, 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Then I over-delivered and over-promised myself, went to an 8 a.m. workout this morning. And my whole day...
No, the problem's not that it's an 8 a.m. workout. It's that it took you like an hour to get there.
Oh, I had to wake up at 6 because I'm also single momming because Mike's in Nashville for a batch party.
Yeah, never say yes to a workout that's an hour away.
It was an
At
hour
any
away,
time of the day, honestly.
and I was bitching to you about being a single dog mom. I know all the real moms in here are probably like, Nicole, shut the fuck up. But being a single dog mom with a high maintenance dog, it really is. You have to time out their bathroom schedules before you leave. It's 4 walks a day with 2 people. That's not a lot. So shout out to the single moms out there. It's actual single dog moms.
Is everybody doing 4 walks a day with their dog? I don't buy that.
Honestly, Louie's huge though. Maybe not with a smaller or older dog.
What are people doing that go into the office?
Daycare, hiring.
Not every day.
Or just train their dog.
This is why people tell you to just have a baby because I think you guys do the most with Louie.
That's the thing. I mean, we really do. But he's a huge dog. Like, other dog parents out there would definitely
Well, you don't have a backyard either.
Yeah, no. You gotta hoist him up.
If you had a backyard, it would be easier. Would you guys ever move to like a house in Hoboken?
I mean,
like rent a house?
Yeah, like a townhouse with a space out back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I would love that. Any takers out there?
Okay.
Let's manifest that, shall we?
Yeah, let's manifest that.
Energy. Okay, but before we get into this episode, actually, let's just get into it. Do we even have to catch up on Bridal Fashion Week?
No, we don't. I think if you want to know, follow me, and all my content will be out.
Follow Caroline's Instagram. Like, not me really, because I didn't do a lot of the Bridal Fashion Week.
I like the world of bridal a lot because everybody's really nice.
Same.
It's like way less cutthroat, and people are really kind. And I just feel like you have to be nice to be in the. Of course, you don't have to be nice to be in the industry, but I feel like there's a higher probability that you're nicer if you're in the industry because, like, you love. Otherwise, like, why are you in bridal and not just, like, normal streetwear?
Right. I like that perspective.
I don't know. I think that, like, it's a fun weekend. It's a fun time, even though it's exhausting because it's not, like, the stuff that you hear about Fashion Week where it's, like, horror stories of people being, like, cutthroat and mean. And I don't know. People are just a really good time.
No,
and they're
I know.
nice.
I will always love the bridal community. I will always want to be in it somewhat.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I mean, I just love weddings.
Yeah.
And I love seeing what is coming in bridal fashion. I guess we'll quickly. I just remember seeing at a couple of the previews or whatever that I went to, which I know you saw too. The big thing coming up for bridal fashion. I don't know if
neck
this is
scarves.
Yes.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Neck scarves.
I wore one last night. I went to an event last night and I wore a neck scarf and it was bridal related.
Yeah, that looks
I think that they're really pretty. I think that whatever I can advise on this later, but like it's hard to go with the trend for your day of look. That's why I like wedding wardrobe fashion because I think it's a fun opportunity to play with trends throughout the engagement. But like never invest too much into those trends for your like day of look. And it's not because you're going to regret it in 20 years. It's because your engagement is really long. And if you buy a dress today based on a trend today for a wedding in a year and a half, there are 2 bridal fashion weeks between now and the time you actually have your wedding, which means that trend by the time you physically wear your dress will be totally recycled.
Right.
And you're going to be like, that's where people get wedding dress regret. So
I feel like, though, a simple white, like what you had on last night, simple white tube top with a white neck scarf
I think it's stunning.
Or something like that a neck scarf is stunning. And I think that's like a 90s fashion trend.
I think the neck scarf is classic in the same way that I think that a glove can be classic.
Yeah.
Accessories can be classic.
I also just like selfishly love a neck scarf because I'm self-conscious about horizontal neck wrinkles and I feel like it hides it. I'm just being honest.
Interesting.
Okay, any other big trends you saw coming up from Bridal Fashion Week though?
There's a lot of sheer and a lot of glam. Like sheer is cool. The glam is a little much for me. Like it's like really over the top beading and like bedazzling on everything. I'm calling it bedazzling because, and I know it's not. It's obviously like way more luxury than that, but it kind of looks like that. So
okay,
I don't know.
I kind of like that though.
Yeah, that one's not as much like my speed.
I like that because I feel like we also went through a phase with bridal fashion where it was just too simple.
Yeah, I don't like that, but everything fashion is always overcompensating. So you go really far to the left and you go really far to the right, and then eventually you like meet in the middle, and then you stay there in that middle place for like a few years, and then the whole thing starts all over again. So like you have to find your middle ground. So like it doesn't need to be totally decked out in beads, and it doesn't need to be fully simple. Like I like structural stuff, so it's like there are a lot of like lifted hips, which I think is very like Marie Antoinette of the bridal industry, and I feel like that's cool, and like kind of petticoats and poofs under the skirts, and that to me is like romantic and bridal, because when else are you ever gonna wear dresses like that? So totally lean into that.
I love that.
But I don't know.
I like that perspective though. Like wear something that when else are you ever gonna wear it?
I mean, yeah,
on your wedding.
Literally.
Yeah, like don't wear a simple. I mean, whatever. Wear whatever you want. We'll do a whole episode.
Wear whatever
on this.
you want.
Follow Caroline on whatever channel, because she's always talking about this stuff, I feel like. But
you have some Recs of the week, though. I think
this week's Recs of the weeks are free. Honestly, they're because we always recommend like things you have to pay for.
I thought you meant like free advice from me. Like I won't charge you.
Free advice. No. These are things that you don't have to pay for, because we're always like, buy this, buy that. And consumerism is at an all-time high, and that's annoying. So, Rec of the week is, if I have a phone addiction, okay, I never get shit done because I'm always on my phone. Yes, you could call it my job, but also, like, I could lay off a little bit. Turn your phone in black and white mode in your settings. It's under accessibility and then something else. I don't know. Find it. Color filters. And it will make you not want to use your phone at all.
So I didn't even know that was a thing.
I saw it on TikTok. I forget the girl who said it. But
that's really smart.
It really works so well. Just try it.
Okay.
But if you're like a real addict fiend like me, you'll just like go back into settings and like turn on the color when you want to use it.
Yeah.
But it does make you think twice before just picking up your phone. It's that extra little.
Do you really need to look at it, basically?
Yeah. It helps with the muscle memory of picking your phone up, just to like pick it up. Because when you do pick it up, it's
I do that all the time. I think it's a big ADD trait too for me. Like, you know how people that have ADD like just need to be using their hands?
Yes.
If my phone is always right there, I could even be engaged in the conversation that we're having, but I'm still picking up my phone, turning it around and like checking it. I literally almost burped into the mic. I'm loving this for me right now.
You won't as much if it's black or white, because or if it's in black and white, because you'll just it just makes you think that extra step before you just muscle memory like are looking at it.
I am gonna try that, because I have noticed that it's something that bothers John, because he feels like I'm not listening to him. And I do feel like it's low-key rude, because
you do that to me.
Yeah, I'm just so see, I do it.
No, I do it to everybody.
But I'm so ADD that I'm just like, I'm fully engaged in what you're saying. I'm just like, my brain needs to be in 10 different places, and then I'm moving my hands, and then my phone is the thing that's right there. It's a really, really bad habit.
See, if I'm on my phone, I'm not listening to you. I cannot multitask like that.
And I think that that's why I have to stop doing it, because even though I can listen, I think that other people have got to be looking at me like there's no way she's listening to me.
Yeah, I'm fascinated when people can multitask.
But I wouldn't assume that about somebody, so I just really need to stop. Yeah. Okay, what's your other Rec of the week?
That's all for now. I'll save
That's all for now?
Yeah.
Mine is super dumb. Put tahini on your hard-boiled eggs. It's really good.
When you first of all, this isn't dumb.
Okay.
This is this episode I want it to be sponsored by Tajín.
No, I love Tajín. I love Tajín.
Caroline?
No,
have we never talked about this?
I love Tajín so much.
I love it. I love it on mango, pineapple.
It's so good.
I love it on anything.
I don't cook without it.
No, it's so good. It's a staple spice in the household.
Yeah, like Tajín should be used on your rice. It should be used on your salmon. It should be used on everything.
Yeah.
Maybe like not your spinach.
That and Trader Joe's chili onion crunch.
You know, I can't have that.
Horrible with gas.
Oh,
is that why?
No, because it has coconut in it. I bought it. I was so excited, and I literally was opening it up, and it has coconut in it. I'm like, my life.
It's like chili.
Sometimes.
And garlic. But it's bad with gas. One of my followers told me that, and I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
Everything's bad with gas.
True.
in our house.
IBS
Everything
girlies.
is bad with gas, but I can't have it, and it's really depressing. But I do live on the Tahine Hill, and will die for it. For the Tahine Hill.
We love you. Sponsor us.
Yo, Tahine is really good, and it's great on your hard-boiled eggs. It makes them fun.
It's great in a drink on a rim.
Obviously.
It's really should be in everything.
Yeah.
Okay, I really think we need to get to this topic.
I do too.
Itching because this is the first, I think, of many episodes on this. I mean, I've never seen so many
we've
emails.
done this topic before.
Like, literally, have we?
Yeah.
You know, I have short
We
term.
have done this topic before. We haven't done it in the way that we're going to do it today, which is predominantly comical.
No, because we've done...
Today is just about
In-laws.
having a nice laugh. You know what I mean? We've done it in a more serious setting where we're like, how to develop the relationship with your in-laws.
Right. No, we've done in-laws. I think the reason we got so much feedback to...
I'm taking my headband off. If I look stupid, you're going to have to tell me.
That's fine. We posted one Instagram story about this. I think the reason we got so much feedback on it is because we used 3 words: mothers-in-law. That is such a triggering topic for people. I think, like, in-laws in general is a whole thing, and people have qualms with
To
them.
be fair, you said horror stories.
Yeah.
You literally were like, all caps, horror stories.
Because I knew.
And
Okay.
my jaw was on the floor with the stuff I was getting submitted.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Here, I do want to preface and disclaim this episode with the fact that I was seeing a lot of horror stories because, yes, we asked for horror stories about specifically mother-in-laws. However, I was seeing a couple refreshing things. And I do want to make note that, like, a lot of people love their mother-in-law and have a great relationship with their mother-in-law and have nothing wrong. So maybe this episode isn't for you, or maybe this episode is just to,
This is just comedy.
listen.
This is comedy. And we're going to end the episode with an email that is honestly the moral of the story, which is no relationship is perfect. You do have the ability to control whether you work on a relationship or not. And, like, just because you have a horror story with your mother-in-law doesn't mean that A, you didn't resolve it, and B, you don't have a good relationship now. Or
Totally.
even C, that you don't overall have a good relationship. This is more just like funny. Like, parents are funny.
Yeah.
And that's what this is about.
Why do we think so many people have so many qualms with their mother-in-law specifically?
You want to know what my honest opinion is?
Yeah.
It's the kid. Like, you can't control what your parent does, and our parents come from different backgrounds and different generations, and they have other things that they're projecting based on how they grew up and how they were treated by their mother-in-laws, and, like, whether they have all sons and how they feel about that. That's a whole load of crap that they really should unpack. They should have been responsible for unpacking that and dealing with it. They weren't. But I think the problem is when the person you marry can't unpack their own stuff. Like, a mother-in-law can be crazy, but, like, the kid is allowing them to be.
Yeah.
I think when we hear resolution, it's always because the spouses are on the same team. They've had a conversation about it. They've addressed the issue with the mother-in-law, whether, like, you addressed your mother-in-law head to head, or they addressed them for you, or they established boundaries. It's like the problem is, like, where the kid is like, I'm siding with my mom.
Yeah. That was a common theme in a lot of these submissions. I feel like it was just that, like, anytime there was a problem with the mother-in-law, there was always a point about, like, yeah, and my husband doesn't see why, or my husband doesn't say anything, or my husband's not on my side. So that is definitely a common theme. I also think that it's just hard for people with their mother-in-laws for 2 reasons. A, you grow up with your own family and your own mom, and you kind of, like, have to learn their parenting style and get accustomed to, like, how it is with your own family. And then all of a sudden you get married into this new family and this new head of household, i.e. the mom, who might do things way different than how you were parented. And that's not always a bad thing.
No.
It's just hard on you when it's not what you're used to, and you have to, like, relearn how to join a family again and how to get integrated into all these traditions and customs and everything. And so it's just tough. And also I think it's tough for a lot of women who are listening who have qualms with their mother-in-laws because of the fact that maybe they're just really obsessed with how their mom does things and their mom is a person. And so now they have this other motherly figure, and it's just so hard because they do things differently. When you and I feel like, are going to speak about this stuff and try to give the best advice that we can, it's coming from the fact that I know in our bridal eras, me with Betch's Brides, the number one question we were always asked was about mother-in-laws. So while I can't speak from my own experience because I do have a really good relationship with my own, I have seen the gamut of mother-in-law problems.
But even you having a good relationship with your own is like, I don't know. We just have to normalize talking about this stuff because it's not negative. Like having adjustment to a different family is not negative. And I think that that's why everyone is like complaining about their mother-in-law. And it's like, what if we just changed the words that we're using to describe this? Like, that's not negative. That is life.
Yeah.
If you're going to be made to feel bad for struggling with a transition or having one at all, who are you helping?
Yeah.
I had a transition with also like growing a new side of my family. So did you. That doesn't mean that it's a negative relationship with your mother-in-law. That doesn't mean that you have problems with your mother-in-law. Your mother-in-law had a transition with her mother-in-law and her father-in-law. Everybody did. Like, just like you said, it is, and it's a whole experience of its own that no one has ever had before and no one will ever have again, where you basically just walk into this other family and you're like, how am I going to fit in and how are you going to fit in? I already have parental figures and I like the way that they do things. So how is this going to work?
Yeah, I like that mindset of just using different words to describe.
Yeah, like,
but
why
also,
is that negative?
I will say, from the past 24 hours of getting submissions.
No, we are bombarded with stuff that's actually negative.
There are some psychos.
No, that's why this, to me, I view this as comical, because the thing is, if you go into a situation and you have no intention of like adjusting your expectations or like working to form a relationship with your mother-in-law, you're never going to get on a good page with them, because that is just par for the course. And B, obviously you're not like responsible for other people's actions, but if your partner isn't in a place in life where they can start to detach from their parents and how their parents have done stuff and what's going on with their parents, to say, this is my family with you first and I stick up for you first, and like we're going to establish our own way of doing things so what they do doesn't affect us, then that's obviously an issue that you guys have to be ready to brace as well, that everybody goes through. Nobody's exempt from that. Our parents weren't exempt from it. We aren't exempt from it. Our kids won't be exempt from that. But that being said, that stuff to me is not negative. That's why I feel like the stories that we're about to tell are legitimately, all I can say is comical. Insane.
All right, let's do some of our quick submissions before we get into our longer emails.
Our quick submissions are, I've got to say, that's where it's at for this.
Yeah.
I'm actually dying at these, but I know I keep saying it. We just need to say them. Go ahead. Pop off.
So she goes, my mother-in-law gave my 3-week-old green tea in her bottle without asking me while out. So this one I wanted to talk about quickly because obviously that's horrible.
Wait, can you say that again?
She goes, my mother-in-law gave my 3-week-old baby
green tea
in her bottle without asking which you can't, I mean, that's deadly. I don't know how. I don't know how or why.
Wait, like, why didn't she just give her coffee then? What?
I don't know. I mean, a baby can't have anything other than milk or formula. We know this. But.
Wait, can they have water?
No. I know. Isn't that wild? I learned that over the past couple years, and it's insane to me.
I should know this. I have so many younger sisters and babysat so much.
No.
They can't have water?
But that's something I always remember, or when I remember it, I'm like, holy shit, babies don't
Motherhood
drink
is
water.
about to be a trip.
No, that's the one thing about motherhood that shocks me to my core every time I remember it. Literally, that babies don't drink water. Every living being needs water to survive. Not a baby. Isn't that wild? So anyways,
I'm so
this
lost.
This baby, however, I hope she's
can
okay.
have green tea.
I hope she's
no.
okay.
Okay.
So This leads to a larger conversation, though, that we can't really speak on because we haven't experienced it. But I do feel like that's one of the biggest issues we always see is when there's kids involved, specifically around food, grandmothers giving their kids food. And this is an extreme example. Obviously, like, you can't give a baby green tea, but I feel like we always see the grandmother giving the kid like cookies or candy or sugary things that the mom's just like, what the I didn't want my kid having that right now. Like, now they're going to be up until
you have
3
to
a.m.
ask.
Yeah, so I just think, like, that's a setting boundaries thing. Like, you have to be firm. Like, I know with my future unborn children, I'm going to, just like anybody who's watching them, let alone mother-in-law, whoever, I'm just going to be very strict on what they can and can't have. No exceptions. Just have to.
I don't think the problem is that she's not being strict. I think the problem is that the mother-in-law is doing it anyways.
Yeah, I mean.
Like,
then
grandmother rules are like, I don't care what the parents said, I'm doing what I was going to do anyways. My baby, I did it to my baby and it was fine.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they love to say that.
That's a common
Okay, what's the next one? That is ill.
This person said, for Christmas, I got a jar of peaches, and my husband's 17-year-old brother's girlfriend got a Pandora bracelet, which is just funny because I do think, like, mother-in-laws
play favorites.
Yeah.
I'm so scared that when John's brothers get married, I'm not going to be the favorite. I think about this all the time. It keeps me up at night for no reason. Like, there's nothing on the horizon for me to be knocked off as the only significant other. But just I've only experienced life one way.
Yeah, that's wild. You're going to have other women in the equation.
A girlie could walk right in and take me right off the throne. She really could.
He's the oldest of 3 or 4.
3.
And they don't have serious significant others yet. The others. Yeah, that's wild. No, I'm actually kind of jealous because you have the opportunity to really have, like, 2 new fun sisters. You need to think of it that way.
Okay, listen. I hear you. I do think it's a nice thought. I hope that it works out that way. But it's both ways for us. Like, I'm also the oldest and John's the only boy. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I get 2 fun new sisters, but I don't know who they're going to be yet. So, like, also
it could go haywire.
It could go the opposite direction. And as a girl who loves to live off of her anxiety, this is what I think about all the time.
Yeah, this is wild.
And as we all know, as we've proven through this journey of podcasting, I have some control issues when it comes to my family.
But the thing about an in-law sibling that's not blood related on your husband's side, so in your case, John's brother's future wives, and in my case, Max, who's Mike's sister's husband, I have a special place in my heart for those people because they become like your pseudo-sibling almost through the family gatherings. Yeah. And if you do ever have a problem with your in-laws, you can kind of both relate. Like, you're usually, if they're a cool
I'm excited
person,
for that. Yeah.
You're on the same page. Like, Max and I, we love our in-laws, so we've never had to, like, bitch about Mike's family. But I don't know. If I ever did, I feel like I could go to him and be like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like, it's nice to have. I wish I had a girl, though. Like, I wish Mike had a brother. Whatever.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to get girls. That'll be fun.
But I would feel that competing. My boyfriend in high school was a twin, and I remember...
See, couldn't do that.
I remember just, like,
could not
competing with the girlfriend
of
the twin brother.
Literally, sorry, not for me.
Yeah.
Could not do that.
And it was because she made it a competitive... Like, she would openly be like, so the mom loves me more. And I'd be like, okay,
no, there are too many people involved. Even if you're not competitive, it's like there is just too many opportunities. Like, the mom could be like, which one am I going to pick? The dad could be like, which one am I going to pick? The brothers could make it competitive. The other girlfriend could make... There are just too many factors. You have no control. I have such issues. You have no control over that situation. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, right. You're going to... When John's brothers get significant others, you're going to step up and be... like, suddenly the best daughter-in-law ever.
No, you're not. I think about this. And I'm going to do it on purpose.
John's parents are going to be like, whoa, Caroline went from...
I hate myself right now. I'm, like, openly admitting how terrible I am. I think about that, and I'm actively going to do that on purpose.
You're going to be like showing up with flowers once a week.
I'm going to spend my
Atlanta.
free time thinking about it.
Okay, just a couple more because I want to get to our emails.
Yeah, and I have some very funny ones.
This person said, our mother-in-law told me and my sister-in-law that she expects 2 kids each from us.
But that could have been a joke. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, you don't expect kids from anybody. You never know what they want or what they're going to be going through when it comes to
Wait, I'm sorry.
conceiving.
What is this one that says, mine gifted me a decorative son with a poem about how hard it is to give up her son? What?
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
yeah.
Or when we got engaged, she brought over a framed photo of herself as a bride for her home.
Yeah.
What?
All right,
No,
what are
I'm
you-
okay. Are you ready?
Mhm.
Okay. This girl got her husband a Christmas gift and told the mom what she got him. So the mother-in-law got the same Christmas gift for the husband, and she made him open her gifts before the wife's on purpose.
That's some mind game shit. Mike's mom is very good about that when it comes to Christmas. She'll be like, I know he's mentioned he wants this.
That's sweet.
If you, and not in a weird way. She's just like, I will totally back off if you wanted to get, and I'm always like, no, please, you get it for him. I'll figure out something.
No, that's
I'll
sweet.
get him nothing.
Okay, my mother-in-law threw her own party at my wedding venue before the wedding.
Yeah, there were a lot of wedding related
What?
ones.
Like, are you just trying to, now I can see that, are you just trying to prove that you think that you could have done the wedding better than her?
Yeah.
That's sick. What did you say about it? What?
I was going to say, when it comes to like wedding, because that was a common theme, we got so many submissions around the mother-in-laws with the weddings. I think when it comes to weddings, mother-in-laws' insecurities come out so hard. They want to use it as a chance to like show off. And so any problems around the wedding with the mother-in-law, it's usually because she wants to like show the world how cool the wedding is, how good of a planner she is, how much money they have, things like that, and that just rears its ugly head.
Can I share some advice that might not be applicable to everybody? You know how sometimes I say, like, I always tell myself I'm not too good for other people's problems. Like, if it happened to you, it could happen to me. My relationship isn't like better than yours, and like my situation isn't better. So I took this into account when I was doing my wedding. I watched friends who had great relationships with their mother-in-laws let it play out and learn the hard way that like there will still be conflict with the wedding regardless of how much you like your mother-in-laws. And I thought to myself, if that can happen to them, it can happen to me. And so I was very clear about my expectations from day one about where I wanted them involved, where I didn't, and where I was going to include them. And I thought about it beforehand and told them way before the fact, this is what I'm including you in. This is what you're going to be involved in. These are my expectations. This is what I'm doing on my own. And I didn't ever have a problem.
Was it received well by them? Or were
Yes,
they like,
because
this
I
bitch
don't
is
think
psycho?
no, it was received very well. And so I'm saying like maybe this doesn't work for everybody. But for me, it was received very well. I didn't wait for it to become a problem. I just assumed that if it could be a problem for everybody else, it could be a problem for me.
Yeah.
So I set the expectation before, and then it was not a problem for me.
Yeah. I guess it depends how you went about it, because if I'm trying to put myself in an in-law shoe, if like my future sons got engaged, and then the bride came to me and was like, this is how I want you involved. This is how I don't want you involved.
No, but then you put your energy, like then you know where to put your energy. You're not because there's no direction. People need direction.
Yeah.
Like the mother-in-law is typically less involved in the wedding planning process. And so like she might be just feeling around for where she can put her energy and effort and doesn't even know that she's stepping on your toes.
Right. And she probably appreciated an early upfront effort so that she didn't get her expectations hurt or whatever.
I mean, it doesn't work for everybody. Okay, some of these are great. My mother-in-law used my first dance song with my husband as the funeral song for her mom.
Yeah, that's weird. I wonder what song.
I need to follow up.
Yeah.
Okay. She wants to be in the room when I give birth and I'm not even pregnant. There are a lot of those.
There are a lot of those.
There are a lot of those.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, John, you're going to have to get on that one.
I like, again, have a great relationship with my mother-in-law. And I straight up like told her, have before, I'm like, you're not in the room during that. Like,
no, I think that is having a good relationship is like being able to say that.
Yeah. And like maybe for like the third or however many.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not saying no, but that is such an intimate experience.
Yeah.
I only want my sister in there only because she let me in for her first.
Yeah.
And then she had an emergency C-section, so I wasn't. But
this is also where I kind of think John's mom like might calm me down. I don't know. Maybe I'll feel, everyone's like, you're going to feel differently in the moment. But right now, I still live in a world where I like have no boundaries. John's like, you're sick in the head.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay.
I just don't know if I want my mother-in-law seeing like my open vagina.
No, I get that. No, I totally get that. But I might be like, everyone get out.
Yeah. It depends.
If you aren't the type of person that can speak your mind, though, just don't have anybody in the room.
Yeah.
Like, I'm totally comfortable being like, all right, now get the F out.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
So I think, I don't know, though. Maybe I'll change I think I am going to regret a lot of things I say in motherhood.
Yeah.
Now, things that I've said now, I think I'm going to look back and be like, wow, you're so silly and stupid.
I always think about that.
My mother-in-law buys recalled dangerous toys for my niece and won't stop doing it. Like, they've told her multiple times to stop.
I mean, listen, something like that, she's probably not doing it with malicious intent. She's probably thinking, let me buy my granddaughter a fun little toy.
Yeah.
And just not doing the research enough to look into it being recalled. But I can get how that would annoy the fuck out of you because you're like, just stop. Okay, I'm going to read these last three because they're actually hilarious. This is great. Nobody else is going to know what these people are saying unless we read it to them. When my fiance and I got engaged, my mother-in-law's first response, not even 5 minutes later, was that she would be our surrogate if I had fertility issues and couldn't get pregnant. That's bizarre. That's bizarre.
What? Also, how old are you?
Yeah, no.
To still be able to be the surrogate. She bought me lingerie because she wants her boy to have a good time.
Ew. Ew. Like, stop.
That is terrible. I'd call my mom crying.
It's giving, like, weird family, too close of a relationship. No.
Okay, 2 more. The first is, my mother-in-law tried to pay my husband's friends to break up our relationship.
Wait. She tried to pay.
She contracted her husband's friends to end their marriage. This is what I say when I say this episode is comical.
I think a lot of mother-in-laws, this is going back to, I think another problem we see a lot is that these mother-in-laws have such a problem with the daughter-in-law because they have this perfect vision in their mind of who their son should marry. And it's like Miss America, Miss Prim Proper, Martha Stewart, and this girl is going to be a great little servant to the husband. And then when that doesn't happen, that's when suddenly like the mother-in-law writes it off and they're like, this girl isn't good enough for my son.
They need to go to therapy. I've read a lot of these and I'm like, especially when people are like, what do I do? And I'm like, she needs to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Cause like, why are you putting that on somebody else? Because somebody put that on you?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry that you had to serve in that way in your marriage.
Yeah.
I don't wanna.
No.
And I don't think I should have to because you did. So when people say that, I do agree. I'm like, that must suck.
Yeah.
That must suck that they have an expectation of you to be like a wife and not a partner.
Yeah.
Like, that's ill.
Well, and it's like, mother-in-laws, stop having this vision of who your son should marry. Like, as long as they make your son happy,
then it's fine.
Then it's fine.
I also, this is the last one I'm going to read, and I think it's interesting. In there, we got an email that we referred to the same thing. And I think the moral of the story is, like, you need to accept who your your son marries because like you want to be in their grandchildren's lives.
Yeah.
And always think about that and like always try to resolve stuff because of that. But regardless, this girl says the first time that she ever met her mother-in-law, she was 18 years old. I'm assuming this is pre-marriage. And she said to the girlfriend, I wish I could clone him, my son, so that I could marry him.
There's a lot of weird incestual things going on.
There's a lot of that.
Let's do the first email. Okay, so this one is all about basically the mother-in-law trying to dictate the future life decisions, which I feel like is just going to be relatable to everybody. So she says, I'm writing this because I'm a newlywed and really struggling with an issue I've come across with my mother-in-law. I love her and she is such a wonderful lady, but I will say she is extremely protective over my husband and is trying to make all of our life decisions for us. On the day we got engaged, the first thing my mother-in-law said to me after the proposal was, oh, but you two will wait 2 years to get married. It rubbed me the wrong way that she was telling me when we were going to get married. We were in our early 20s when we got engaged, and my husband wanted to take his parents' advice because he loves them and trusts them, so we did indeed wait 2 years to get married, even though I didn't want to. Then, after getting married, we started to get questions from everyone about when we will start having kids. I don't mind this question, and I'm very happy to explain that we are enjoying the married life. However, anytime I am asked this question in front of my mother-in-law, she cuts me off to answer the question and responds with, oh, they're going to wait a long time before having kids. This isn't the case, and my husband and I have many discussions together when the time is right for us, and we will start when the time is right for us, we'll start trying. I get nervous because she tells my husband that we need to wait until we have X amount of money saved up to have kids, and I'm worried that because he trusts his parents, he will lean towards taking their advice and waiting a long time. We're also planning on buying a house in the fall, and she has not stopped voicing that she does not want us to get a house. In fact, we got back from a trip to visit them, and she said to us, I would prefer if you guys waited to get a house. Okay, basically, yeah. And then she told her husband this has been bothering her.
He thinks she's just trying to help him means well.
Right. So yeah, okay, this is 3 big decisions, like waiting to get married, the kids, and the house, that the mother-in-law just keeps interjecting and being like,
yeah,
they're going to wait. They're going to wait to do kids. What are your thoughts?
I'm just going to say that I think the answer is pretty simple. I think that sometimes we avoid conflicts with our parents. I think men avoid conflict with their parents, and I think this is honestly why sometimes we have more of the conversation of mother-in-laws in this direction. Like, girls are much more comfortable calling their parents out.
Why is that?
Way more comfortable.
And we don't get as defensive. Like,
yes.
If Mike ever said a flaw with my family and was like,
it's not, that's why I'm saying change the narrative, because it's not a negative experience with your mother-in-law. It's like they don't have as much of an open relationship where they feel like they can call their parents out or take it without reacting in an extreme way.
Like, if I say something to Mike about his family, he'll get defensive. If he says something to me about mine, I'm like, oh yeah, they're fucking awful at that.
It's not viewed as negative because you are self-aware of your own family dynamic.
Yeah.
And you don't take offense to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a different, they're handling it differently. So I think a lot of times sons do not want to confront their parents.
Right.
Because they don't have that relationship. And I think the answer is really simple. It's that there will be a time when your comfortability with confronting your parents, is worth jeopardizing because the issue will be that large. And right now they don't think the issue is that large. And you need to put them in a situation and say to them, this is where this is going to lead. This is how big the issue is going to get. Is that what you want to happen? And if not, then we need to do the work right now for you to get comfortable talking to them about it.
Right. And with all these things, at the end of the day, it's not her life. It's you and your partner, you and your husband's life decisions.
Yeah.
Anytime she said something like that, I would just be like, okay, yeah. Like, if she was like, yo, you're going to wait 2 years to have kids.
It wouldn't matter if he wasn't listening to them.
Yeah, but I would just be like, okay, yeah, we're actually going to have kids next year. So that's the thing. That's the main issue, is that the husband, she's afraid that he's going to listen to them because he does respect them. I would sit him down and be like, look, we've got to get away from their advice and their life plans. Like, we've got to be on the same page.
And then flip it to how you're going to be as parents. Would it be appropriate? Say, like, do you think that it would be appropriate if we had a son that I was dictating?
Put yourself in their shoes.
Like, how odd would that be?
And then if you sit the husband down and he's like, oh my God, like, don't ignore my mom. She just, like, wants the best for us. I would say, okay, yeah, great. You and I are on the same page then. Then our second issue is just the annoyingness of the comments. Like,
yeah, like, you have to acknowledge that it's affecting her and her mental health. Like, she doesn't feel like a prioritized partner.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, it's fine. If we're not going to actually listen to the comments, then that's fine. But they're still annoying. Like, we still should probably nip them in the butt. And then when they happen, I would just set a boundary right then and there. And I'd just nicely be like, yeah, okay, like, I realize you think we should wait to have kids because it's financially might make more sense, but because it's our lives and our kids, we're gonna actually do them when we want. I would just kindly say that.
I said this the other day in response to somebody's question, and I was like, those comments don't bother me because I personally know that nobody knows all of the factors that go into us deciding when we're gonna have kids besides us. So nobody could possibly make a better decision than we could make, because they have no idea really what they're talking about. And even in this scenario, that's true. And so, like, if they listen to her because he wants to listen to her, and then they make decisions that aren't right for them as a family because of her advice that is not taking into account all factors, and then something goes wrong.
Yeah.
That is going to be a way worse scenario than him saying, it's more important for me that, like, my wife feels like she's not second fiddle to my mom. Like, is it really worth making your wife feel like she doesn't have equal say in your relationship just because you don't want to stand up to your mom?
Yeah, no.
Is that worth it? Because to me, I think that's going to cause more problems down the line.
Yeah.
If they wait to have kids, and then when they go to have kids, her OBGYN tells her, you should have followed your gut and had kids sooner because you are losing eggs faster than...
Then she's going to resent husband.
That's where my mind goes. Is that worth it?
Or even house. If, like, we're making everything about kids. Clearly, baby's on the mind, but, like, or even the house. If she goes, if you guys think, if you go to buy a house and you do wait the 2 years, like the mother-in-law, and the market goes up and now they're a lot more expensive and you could have saved money when you were, whatever. Like, I think fact of the matter is, you've got to do what's best for you, and the comments are annoying. I would either just brush them off or nip it in the butt and say something right then and there when she says them.
You have to figure out language, though, to what to say. What is a good way that he can stand up for his wife in the moment when she says stuff that's also received by his mom?
Hey, Mom, that's going to be between me and, I'm making up a name, me and Emily. Like,
I like
we
that.
appreciate you caring. We know it's just coming out of you caring, but it does come off a little, it stresses us out when you say things like that.
I like that. Like, they should say that in the moment.
Yeah.
I like that. He should say that in the moment.
Yeah.
That's how he could support his wife and, like, take the burden off of her to be stressing about what she's saying.
They should have a code word when they're with, because sometimes men are stupid and, like, the mom will say
he won't, like, register that it's happening.
Come up with a code word with your husband.
I like that.
So when an in-law is saying something that annoys you, you say the code word.
And it's, like, triggering her anxiety.
Yeah.
See, also huge love language, because I guarantee when he starts doing that for her, it will, like, cause her to, like, have so much more affection and trust towards her husband, and then she will in turn stop stressing about these big life decisions as much.
Yeah.
Because she knows that the decision will be made to the best of her and her husband's ability, not to the best of her husband, and his mom's ability.
Yeah.
I like that. They should totally do a code word. That's smart.
And then the parents will, like, catch on and be like, why are you saying pineapple so
Yeah,
much?
and the other thing is, like, being real. His mom probably doesn't have a lot of control in her own life. Otherwise, she might not care as much to exercise the control over theirs.
Yeah.
And so don't enable her.
This is a big, like, the number one submission I was seeing in the DMs was, like, just overactive, over caring mother, which is a good and
protective. Yes. Okay, our next email. Here we go. There were a ton of issues planning the wedding with my mother-in-law. She promised a certain amount of money that she would give us towards the wedding and then retracted it. She said I was leaving her out of wedding planning after several times of me asking her what she wanted to do and be included in, and never gave an answer. She threatened to my now husband to sit me down in order to talk to me, to try to tell me I was stealing her son. There's so much of that. The final straw for me, and I think this is weirdly relatable for a lot of people, I've recently learned. The final straw for me was when she got an identical dress to my mother's for the wedding. My mom had been looking for a dress as soon as I got engaged and wanted it to be perfect. My mom got it 7 months before the wedding, and this woman got it 3 months before the wedding, knew what my mom's looked like. She never asked about her dress and just told me what she got. I cried and was livid. When my now husband and I went to dinner with my now mother-in-law 2 months before the wedding, she told stories about every couple she knew or heard about who said no at the altar weeks before. There's a ton I'm leaving out. It's just a glimpse of the craziness. The dress one is a girl dig.
Yeah, this is just a plethora of like mother-in-law around the wedding fucking up.
Do you know what it is too that I think that guys aren't understanding? I'm trying to train John in this. I think I've said it on the podcast before. Understanding what girl insults are. Like
You've said this
the
before.
covert ones that guys won't pick up on. Remember that your mom is a woman too. She knows what she's doing in that area. She doesn't want you to pick up on it.
You're talking about the dress one?
Yeah, like the dress one, even the saying no at the altar one, all of the saying like I'm not responding to the being involved stuff, but then she has a complaint, oh, I'm not involved. But like it's so like she is kind of being a mean girl.
Yeah.
In a way that's so covert that her son won't pick up on it. And I think that happens.
The dress one, when I first read this, to me it kind of like, I almost feel bad for her because that's kind of operating out of like insecurity, where I don't know who looks like what or whatever in this situation, but I'm picturing mother-in-law just like not knowing really what to wear, maybe really liking what mom of the bride picked out to wear and being like, let me get a similar dress.
I don't think that's what it is. I think that mother-in-laws get upset because they think the wedding day, if all parents are there, I think that they think the wedding day is more about the mother of the bride than the mother of the groom. Yeah. And so they feel like they're trying to take the spotlight back. I do think it's a small dig. I think she's trying to level the playing field to say, you can't look better than me. You can't have a better dress. Like, I'm going to have a dress that looks just like yours so that you don't get more attention than me.
Yeah, like if you wanted to look better, though, just get a better dress, not one that looks identical.
I know, but like, think about the way that they're operating in this. Like, if they were super into fashion, they would, but they're probably not.
That's also operating out of insecurity. Like, if you were secure, you wouldn't have to. You wouldn't care. With the bride.
And I think that I've heard this a lot, and it's so interesting to me because it's just the thing that I think goes over guys' heads. So if you went to your fiance and you're like, this happened and it's bothering me, he might unintentionally gaslight you and be like, you're overreacting, because he doesn't get it. Like, it is it's a real dig.
Yeah.
But it's going over their heads because, like, that's a girl fight language. And so they're like, this is so stupid. She just picked what looked good on her. And that's not what happened.
I'm thinking like a man here, so don't hate me. But also, what if mother-in-law is just kind of stupid and was like, I didn't realize the dress looked similar.
That's like, devil's advocate, but I don't think that that's the case ever.
I agree.
I think this is the number one thing. Like, I imagine them sitting down with their friends whose kids have already gotten married being like, you know what you can do?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's kind of devious.
And it is like a known thing when wedding planning that like the two moms coordinate. Like, that's kind of what picking out the outfits 101. It's like, oh, what's the mom wearing? Let me make sure it's like different but still like appropriate, you know?
It's also, like this girl said, she gave the mother-in-law tons of opportunities to be included. That is one very great, easy thing that you get to do with your future daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
And so she really is kind of saying in a nonverbal way, F you, I don't want to be included at all. And I'm going to take it to the next level and do something that's going to even piss you off.
Yeah.
Because, like, the one thing that was so easy, written in the stars, to be included on, to make a decision with your future daughter-in-law, have that bonding moment, she didn't want it at all.
Yeah. And I do think, this is a hot take, you'll agree with me, I know you will. I do think when it comes down to it, if we have to pick the wedding to be for one of the I do think like it should be, the wedding should be more for the mother of the bride to shine.
Also,
just because it's the bride.
A lot of times they're paying for it.
Yeah.
So I think that incites some competition.
Yeah.
When they have more decisions because their daughter cares more about it and also maybe they're paying for it. I think that there are a lot of semantics in there, but I think what it pulls out is a lot of pettiness between people. Like moms are not excused from pettiness. Like, they're humans just like the rest of us. They can be just as petty. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times their sons put them on this pedestal where like it would be impossible that their mom could ever be petty.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. In
regards to paying for the wedding, the best advice, I remember Jordana saying this on Betches Brides a ton, with like paying for the second line in here is she promised a certain amount of money she would give us toward the wedding, then retracted it.
Yeah.
That's super annoying, period. Like, you don't promise money and then retract it. However, I think like the best way to avoid that, which kind of sucks, but if you have a wedding that you know you can cover and pay for, you won't have those issues. You just can't rely on parents or in-laws to promise.
You have to know the situation. But it sounds like this experience is how she figured out what the situation was. Yeah. So that just sucks. Like, she didn't know it going into it.
Like Mike's parents did our rehearsal dinner. If at the last second they were like, sorry, just kidding.
That would have been like, fuck. That would be terrible. Yeah. I want to end this by saying 2 pieces of advice that we got from listeners on 2 ends of the spectrum to resolve some of these issues, because I do think that it's helpful and it's nice to hear these things. So we did get an email of someone basically saying something like similar to what we've heard in these stories about just conflict. However, what I really appreciated is that she added this at the end of the email. After a week of stewing on her situation, she went directly over to her mother-in-law and asked to talk to her one-on-one. And she said, we had a very good conversation, and I basically politely asked her to stay out of our relationship. Now we have a great relationship and everything is good. But I don't think if I hadn't confronted her directly, we would be where we are today. And that point for me is, a lot of it is about respect. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes mother-in-laws think that they can walk over you if they don't have respect for you. And I think as uncomfortable as it is to confront your mother-in-law, especially if your husband doesn't want to, it does form respect in the relationship. Yeah. And I think that is a solution that people don't explore enough.
Yeah. I think that's in any relationship, like, and that's something I suck at because confrontation is the devil for me. But if you are a rational person and you come to her and sit her down, and always, I know therapists say this and it's cheesy advice, but explain it from I scenarios. Just yes. Be like, put yourself in my shoes, and I will also try to put myself in your shoes. Yeah. But when you say you want me to have 4 kids, for example, that's a
it makes me feel like
it gives me anxiety and makes
speak
me feel
for yourself. Yeah, you're a person, and a lot of times I think in these stories what I'm hearing is that they're not really treating their daughter-in-laws as full people. Yeah, and not giving them that respect. And so I feel like that was really good to hear, to say like all of these issues, like, that doesn't mean that that's going to be your life for the next 3 decades. It really doesn't. Like, if you can get a little gumption and have a face-to-face conversation, it really might go better than you think. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, and I did want to share this on, if anybody's really having like difficult issues and they're feeling alone, we did get this as well. If there's anyone considering or thinking of going no contact with an in-law, I'd first say talk to a therapist. I'd then say, if this thought has ever even crossed your mind, there's probably a really good reason that it has. Trust your gut, trust your partner, and protect the relationship that you have. And that came from somebody that went through a lot, ended up having to go no contact, and it's been 3 years. And they included a therapist, and I think she's saying she might have done it sooner. Mm-hmm. But that is her tip.
Everything. No contact would suck. You want your in-laws involved, but at the
last
end of the
resort.
Day,
you want them involved in your kids' lives. You want your parents to have grandchildren. Not everybody's lucky enough to have that. So it's really important to save that relationship if you can. But I did think that was good advice. She said, trust your gut. She said, always involve a therapist. Mm-hmm. Protect your relationship at all costs. Yeah. And I felt like that was good to hear, because I think sometimes I get sad reading these where like people are really in situations that they don't want to be in, and they probably feel really alone.
Yeah, and a lot of the in-law issues could be avoided if you're prioritizing the two of you.
Yeah.
And then moving on a united front.
I agree.
Thank you all. We have some very exciting guests coming up.
Yes.
We have Mike, we have the boys, we have a manifestation expert, we have a travel expert about traveling with kids, we have a bunch of fun stuff, like a
fertility stuff,
thing.
I think, even.
Yes,
Yeah.
fertility. So, yeah.
Stay tuned.
Comment or rate, review, subscribe.
Rate, review, subscribe. Nothing makes us happier than when you guys subscribe. It just makes our hearts pump extra big.
Yes.
So if you love listening to us, or you find yourself listening to us week over week, subscribe. We love you for it.
And if you do love your mother-in-law and have a great relationship, this was a lot.
Yeah.
This was a lot, let's all just say.
If you send us something really endearing, we would love to read it on the next episode too, or follow up, or share it when this episode comes out.
Yeah.
Just to add a little faith back into the universe.
Text your mother-in-law and tell her you love her.
Yeah, do it. Absolutely. Well, we love you guys, and we will see you next week. I am Caroline Crawford Patterson.
And I'm Nicole.
Honey, we're home.